All right, we have a special guest with us today, originally hailing from Santa Barbara, California, but speaking to us today from her life on the road, currently in South America. She has been battling on the elite stage of the championship tour since 2012, where she has collected a number of wins across a variety of venues. That's not to say she hasn't had her setbacks, injuries, results, and the like, but each time she's returned stronger, sharper, and more impressive. A narrative that is beautifully depicted in her new film, Making Waves, produced by 805 Beer and now available for viewing at worldsurfleague.com and on YouTube. We have the one and only Lakey Peterson. Lakey, thank you so much for coming on the lineup.
Hello, Dave. Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be back. It's been a few years.
It's been a few years. I mentioned that you're in South America. Give us the background. What are you doing down there right now?
I am. I'm in Brazil. I'm in Florianopolis, actually. This year I'm working with Leandro Dora, who lives here in Florianopolis, and obviously the schedule is like pretty back to back this year, and this is our only break we had sort of in between events. So we were able to get in the wave pool down here at Boa Vista and do a bunch of training there this week and then a bunch of ocean training. So I just kind of came down for like a little week-long training camp, which is hard to not go home knowing that we're not going to be home till like June. But I think it's definitely been really worth it. So it's been fun. And then I'm gonna head back to Portugal tomorrow. So I'll be there nice and early, it's just good.
Gotcha. I know when we were designing the schedule, we're like, okay, Abu Dhabi is obviously like an outlier, but it's geographically similar to Portugal. We'll put those back to back. And then Ramadan kind of complicated some of the scheduling. And we're like, okay, now we've got like a 4-week gap between Abu Dhabi and Portugal. But yeah, you're not missing too much on the West Coast. It is so cold at home right now. And I've been watching, I think, not just you, but I think Brisa Hennessy's been at Boa Vista. That wave, and I think it's the American Wave Machines technology, looks so fun for training. Tell us a little bit about the experience there and what you feel like it's done for your surfing just in sort of this little break.
Yeah, it's been insane. So it is. I think it's the same technology as the Waco wave in Texas. I think it's that perfect swell. I don't know the official name, but I'd never been to Boa Vista because it's like a private club. So it's crazy. It's just like a private club, like a sports club almost. People can buy into, and then there's like a wave pool and a golf course and tennis and things like that. And obviously Alejandro kind of had the hookup there, which is why we were able to get in. And they were so gracious in hosting us. Like the service was world class. But it's insane. I really feel like it's the most realistic to the ocean wave pool I've ever surfed in. I felt like it's like the air section is obviously incredible, and they can do like the double air section, which everyone's seen its low flare up on and stuff. But then the turn wave, I felt like it was just so productive to ride 1,000 waves in a row and be able to work on just all sorts of technique stuff, forehand and backhand, that I've been trying to work on that would have taken me in the ocean like seriously months. It was crazy. I think Brisa and I were saying at the end of the day, we were like, I think we both just surfed like 120 waves today. So my legs have not worked ever since then. And I've also surfed more in a wave pool this month than in the ocean because we were Abu Dhabi before here.
Right, yeah.
Which is pretty funny. And probably done the most night surfing I've ever done too, because all my sessions at Abu Dhabi were at night, and then we surfed a ton at night in Boa Vista. So what a time to be alive as a surfer. It's crazy.
Brave new world. You mentioned you're working with Leandro Dora this year. That's Iago's father. He's also famously coached Jack Robinson. He's someone on tour that I think everyone understands he knows what he is doing. Talk to us a little bit about the decision. Why the change, and what has it been like working with him so far this season?
Yeah, for sure. I think obviously, I've been competing for a while now, and I worked with Mike Parsons for so long. And I'm still super involved with Mike. He manages me, and he's just like still so there in my surfing, and I think always will be, but he sort of doesn't do as much coaching anymore. And then I worked with Glenn Hall last year, which was really awesome. I love Glenn. But I just felt like this year I just needed like a fully new perspective and just something like totally different from what I'd done in the past with coaching. And I always really loved Alejandro's vibe at the contest. If you know Alejandro, like you'd know Dave, he's just super good energy and nice to everyone. And I really honestly saw like all the people he was working with and the improvements they were making on a event to event basis, I felt like. And so yeah, I took a lot of time to think about it and reached out in the off season, and he was gracious enough to have me on the team with the rest of everyone, and everyone's been so cool and welcoming. But yeah, it's been really cool. Honestly, it's been kind of exactly what I felt like I was looking for. Just a lot more technique based, and
Mm.
I don't know. I just feel like I'm breaking down my surfing more than I ever have before, or more than I have in a really long time, with like a completely fresh set of eyes. So that feels really good. And I just, like I said, I feel like after you do it for so long, it can get a little stale trying to do it the same way and frustrating. And so it just feels good to have like a new technique, a new perspective, and just a fresh way of doing it and looking at it. I think it just brings like a freshness to it after 11 years of grinding it out. So it's been really good.
It makes sense. It also sounds like good business too, because if Snips is still your manager, it's not like he's not going to give you little coaching tips here and there. So it's a little bit of an efficiency play, I think, on your part. We talked about this film that's out now, Making Waves. It's been produced with 805 Beer, who's one of your supporters, but it's also made with fellow Santa Barbara and Morgan Mawson. So give us the background. Like how did this project come together? How is it working with Morgan? And yeah, what was your take on it?
Yeah, so it actually is pretty cool how it all worked out. Last year, obviously, fell off tour. I didn't make the midseason cut, which was at the time like the heartbreaking devastation, as it is for anyone. But because of that, I had all this time off, and I was generously gifted the wild card for the next season from the WSL to compete this year. So I didn't have to go do the Challenger Series, which was such a blessing, honestly. And it felt like, yeah, I just had the time to focus my energy on something new for the first time in 10 years. So it worked out great because 805 was really wanting to do a project, and they do really cool stuff. They have so many rad videos on their YouTube channel and that they put out with all their athletes and people that they work with. And it was pretty just funny because Morgan and I actually grew up literally one street away from each other. I would go over to their house all the time after school. We went to the same grade school, like super good family friends. And obviously he's become so successful in the photography and videography world. And I've been able to compete, on the tour for a long time, but we've never really been able to work together, just had the opportunity to, just since we both kind of elevated in both our careers. But I always wanted to work with him, one, just because he's so talented and I feel like all of his stuff comes out so good, but then two, just growing up literally around the corner from each other. It's a pretty cool story in that way. Surfing the same local surf spot, and I'll never forget Morgan, like when he was young, he was always out there just with his camera at Rincon, like playing around. And so anyways, it was really cool that 805 wanted to work with him, and I felt like it was a great fit. And I actually had the time to go somewhere and make a film. And so we ended up going to South Africa to shoot a lot of a bulk majority of it, and we shot a lot back home in California. And yeah, I'm excited how it came out. I'm really excited for the world to see it.
Yeah, I got a sneak peek when I was in Hawaii, and we'll get to the surfing part in a minute because it's really, really impressive. But there's actually some really vulnerable and candid moments over the last few years of your career. I would imagine that working with someone that you've known your whole life, like Morgan, it probably adds a level of comfort to exposing yourself a little bit more than maybe you normally would with someone else.
Yeah, for sure. I think too, he's such a professional and makes you feel really
Mm.
comfortable. And obviously, knowing him since I was like 5 years old, I feel very comfortable talking to him, and felt like he was gonna display it how I wanted it to be shown and how I wanted it to be perceived, which is just honest and
Mm.
being vulnerable. I think, I've had a long career, and I've been so lucky to have a great career. But with that has come for sure a lot of heartbreak, and some of that heartbreak people see. People see you not make the cut or not make the Olympics,
Mm.
but they also don't see a lot of the personal stuff that every human's dealing with too, on the other side of that. So it was kind of, yeah, it was nice to be able to talk about that a little bit more. It's weird because I feel like as surfers, we're so lucky and we're so like blessed to live this lifestyle. I felt like I don't want to complain that I've had this super tough life,
Right, right.
but I have had some really challenging times, and a lot of times that I was like, I don't know if I want to do this again. So it was cool to be able to tell that story, and hopefully it'll inspire someone who's maybe feeling down and out about what they're doing, to keep going and get back after it.
Yeah, it's such a good point because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter like what sport or discipline, like even people like yourself that exist at the very, very elite level, like they're still human, they still have
Hmm.
like everyone still has stuff that goes up and down. And I think sometimes I think of like the dream tour as a little bit of a misnomer because people are like, what do you have to complain about? Like no whining on the
Yeah,
yacht or whatever they say. And it's like,
for sure.
it's not 100% great all the time. Like nothing is, but,
Yeah.
you know, when you talked about the relief in a way of getting the wild card for this year for 2025 and not doing the
Mhm.
Challenger Series and being able to commit yourself to doing a film project, I'm always curious to get insights from surfers at your level. Do you approach free surfing for a project like this very differently than you approach the way you surf on the CT? Is it like are they just almost like two different mindsets? Do you feel like you surf differently? I'm curious to get your take on that.
Such a good question. So I going to when we went to J-Bay to film this, I was like, whoa, I have to make sure I get clips. Like you can't. We're
Right.
competing, obviously I'm gonna compete and try my hardest, and like whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. But it was the first time I was like, okay, it's a little bit of a different type of pressure. I felt, I was
Mm,
telling my husband Tom this, I was like, frick, I'm kind of like nervous in a weird way. But it was really cool. I think, when you compete for so long, it's very easy to get in this headspace of like, this is my routine, this is how I get a score, and you don't feel like you always have, I don't know, just so much space to like be creative with your surfing, or at least for me, which is not good. I think
right.
it's, you see when surfers on tour are like being creative and putting it out there, and that's like when things really get progressed and look amazing. Where I feel like I fell into this category of, I'll push it in my free surfing a little bit, but then like back to competing, and I know how to kind of do that, and it fits in this box. So it was really cool to go to J Bay and to just, yeah, I don't know, just surf and sleep in a little bit. Like I can go surf at 9 and still be just as productive. I don't need to get up at 5 and do it
Right.
early. And like it was a different kind of tempo and flow. But it was really nice. And I think it was good. It took me almost a few days to get out of the headspace too of like trying to get scores almost on a wave, and more
Right.
just
Right.
how do I want to approach this wave, and I can just do a high line the whole way if I want to, or whatever you want to do. And I think it was a good learning lesson for me of like, okay, let's bring back this creativity of surfing that makes surfing surfing. And that's just my personal experience. I think a lot of other people on tour probably don't feel that way and do feel like they fully express their full potential of surfing, in heats. But for me, I think just for a long time, maybe it felt a little bit stale. So it
Mm.
was, yeah, it was a good awakening in that way, I guess.
So you weren't coming in from those early sessions being like couple of sevens, not too bad, and
Yeah.
Morgan's like, that's not what we're doing here, kind of thing.
Exactly. Like we're no. We're gonna get some coffee, we're gonna sleep in, we're gonna go back, and then just, do whatever you want out there. So it was really refreshing in a lot of ways.
Well, I have seen it. The surfing in it. I mentioned the storytelling's really, really beautiful and kind of vulnerable. The surfing blows my mind. I think everyone should check it out. It's Making Waves. It features Lakey Peterson. It's on worldsurfleague.com and YouTube. We will have a link to the film in our episode show notes too. We're going to take a quick break to get a word in from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back. This is the lineup. I'm Dave Prodan here with Lakey Peterson. Lakey, during the break, we were joking about how, you and I, and Miguel's going to have to bleep this out, would catch up quite often, on the beach and whatnot. Officially, the last time we caught up on the podcast was a long time ago. It was in August of 2020. And a lot has happened for you in the last 5 years. I'm not going to go through it year by year, but I actually think this ties to what we were talking about before the break, right? You're back on tour. You've had a really good start so far, like great result at Pipe. It's only been 2 events, I know, but good start back. I think more than anything, between the way you're performing on the CT right now and certainly the way you were surfing in Making Waves, you look like you're surfing better than ever. Do you feel that way? And I'm not trying to ask you to be humble here, but like, at 30 years young, like physically, do you feel like you're in the best shape of your life? Do you feel like you're surfing better than you have in the past?
Yeah, I think for sure. I feel definitely really good right now. I feel like there's this stigma. I joke about it with the girls on tour who are, we quote, older because we're only like 30 and everyone calls us old.
Right. Yeah.
And we're like, we're not old. It's just they're 17. We were 17 on tour once too. But I do really feel like, being on tour from a really young age for me, 17, I was 17 my first year and now I just turned 30 this year. And I obviously with that just comes like so much growth and maturity mentally and how you compete and how you just see it all. You just have so much more perspective over time. And I certainly have gained that perspective, which takes a bit of just pressure off and burden off, not living and dying on every result at some stage. It's like, I'm so stoked on my life and my career. And I think now I don't know. I just want to do the best surfing that I can possibly do for however long I end up doing this for, because obviously it's not going to last forever. And, I've got a lot more, I think, good years to give, but it's not like I'm just starting out anymore, So I feel like this year's felt really good. It was awesome to start, with a third at Pipe. Abu Dhabi wasn't great, but we just throw that one away. And now we've got a great 5 events coming up here pretty soon, and waves that I really like and I really think I can surf really well at. And yeah, my body does feel great. I think I've just learned to train smarter, not harder. And I'm just having fun. I'm having fun working on my surfing. And if that results in making top 5 and winning events and winning world title, then amazing. I'm absolutely trying my hardest. And if it doesn't result in that, then that's okay too. Like I'm just here to do the best surfing that I can do and see where that takes me at this point. And I think that's like a really exciting place to be and a great perspective to have, or it feels like for me at least. And so I'm here for it. But it is funny. It's funny being 30 and like feeling, I don't know, just like, who are all these young kids on tour? It's probably how the generation when I got on tour felt about me and us, so it's really cool to still be there and be getting pushed now by all these young, amazing talent on tour. It's insane. So it's just fun to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no on that last point about like maybe that's how the generation on tour felt about you guys when you were coming on tour too, because I'm holding kind of both thoughts in my head, which is that on the one hand, I think that women surfing and the younger generation is like so impressive. I actually think like the floor and ceiling of talent on tour is actually closer than it's ever been. And I think when you were a rookie back in 2012, I've just opened the rankings up here. We can have a quick look at who was on tour, right? You got Steph Gilmore, Sally Fitzgibbon, Carissa Moore, Tyler Wright, Courtney Conlog, Malia Manuel, Lakey Peterson, Laura Enever, Coco Ho, Paige Harrop, Rebecca Woods, Sophia Milanovic, Paulina Ado, Sage Erickson, Sarah Mason, Silvana Lima, Justine DuPont, Jackie Silva. So you had like an interesting like cohort of similarly aged young women that were making a push, and with huge respect to the generation that was a little bit older on tour when you were a rookie, there was a huge like approach difference in terms of how you guys surf certain waves. I don't feel like that exists on tour right now, even though you do have like really talented young surfers. They are drawing cool lines, but it's not one of those things, at least as like an observer of the sport, where I'm watching an event or a particular venue where I'm like, these three surfers are going to dominate and the rest are going to struggle. It's almost like anyone can beat anyone else at any time. And that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. I think right now is a crazy mix of girls on tour between my generation and then the young girls. It's like, I feel honestly, exactly, I do agree that I feel like you rock up to every event and you're like, anybody could win this thing. I mean, obviously, maybe she's got a little of an advantage here. This way fits her a little bit there. But overall, I was actually having that conversation with Mike Parsons at the beginning of the year. Like, it is pretty wild, and it's really cool to be a part of. And I think, I don't know the exact stat, but I think if you were to look at, I was talking to someone in Hawaii, all the girls on tour and who's won events on the tour that is on tour right now, it's like well over half the tour has won an event or multiple events. So it just proves your point of like, there's this big talent pool, and you know, it really is up for grabs for anybody on the tour. It's really cool to see the women just all step up, and I think it's fun for viewership too because it makes it so exciting.
Oh, I completely agree. And that stat, like I remember Mitch Salazar and I can't remember if we did it on the podcast or on WhatsApp. It's all blurry to me at this point. But it was the exact point. It's like the amount of, it's such a high percentage of the current top 17 on the women's championship tour right now who have won a CT event. And having done this as long as I have, it's my 20th year. Like when I started on both tours, you know, you would get this collection of literally the best surfers that grew up at their beach, and they make the tour. Most of them are told you're going to be the next Kelly Slater, the next Steph Gilmore, Lisa Anderson, whatever it is, their whole life, you know, so they're primed to be world champions. And most of them never even win a CT, let alone win a world title. In 2025 on the women's tour, most of them are proven winners. And I think that like psychologically that does something for you. Like if you can win at the CT almost at any venue, I mean, you won the US Open your rookie year. Like that must have been like a huge confidence booster for you moving forward.
It's huge. When you win your first event, I mean, it's like what probably everyone would say. It just makes you personally realize, like, I'm here. I did it. I'm at the top of the top. And I just beat Carissa Moore. Like, oh my gosh, you know, and Stephanie Gilmore for me. Like, so it is, I think when you win an event, it can catapult you into such a crazy rhythm and result of events, and vice versa. You can be on a bad one and not win for a while, and it like feels like it will just keep driving you down. Sometimes it's really hard to get out of that rut. It's actually something I talk a little bit about in my movie that's coming out. But yeah, it's pretty amazing when you win one. You're like, all right, I mean, I can absolutely do it. And sometimes you win an event where you feel like you go into the event not that good. It's so weird. You're like, I don't know, I'm not feeling that good. And then you either do really good or you win it. And you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I won it. You know, everything just kind of fell into place. And of course, other times you go in feeling like $1 million and you're like, I'm winning this thing. So, but I think it just proves the point of anyone can win at any time, no matter how they're feeling, because one, it's the ocean. Everyone is that good. There's just so many unknowns, and a lot of winning has to do with just like everything coming together and the talent being so high. It really is. It's pretty cool. I think this year is going to be so exciting. I mean, it already has been, but it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, not only has the makeup of the women on tour and the talent level changed so much in the last, 10, 15 years, but the schedule and the venues that you guys compete at have changed so much as well. That first year, your rookie year in 2012, it was, Snapper Rocks, Bells Beach, Taranaki in New Zealand, DY in Australia, back to Australia, Rio in Brazil, Biarritz in France, and then we finished at the US Open. Wildly different schedule. And obviously, in the last several years, it's been one of these kind of like build it and they'll perform, where it's like, yeah, like let's invest in Fiji, let's invest in Tahiti, let's invest in pipe. And the women on tour across the board have risen to the occasion and like blown everyone away with what they can actually do. For someone like yourself, where when you were coming up, and certainly through your first few years on tour, the venues were not what they are now. And you've been very open in the past about like, hey, look, I have to work at some of these venues that I'm not 100% confident at. And I think starting the year with a third at pipe is a huge testament to your ability to still grow and develop as a surfer. And can you talk to us just a little bit about that? Just the way the schedule's changed so much and what that's meant to you as an elite level surfer in terms of having to evolve.
Yeah, it's such a good point you bring up and question. I think it is crazy to hear the schedule from my first year on tour. It is like so wildly different now. And in the best way, it really speaks volumes to one, the WSL and the changes they've made for the women in our tour and the prize money and venues, everything. And then two, I think just if you never give someone the chance or the opportunity, you never know what they can do. And I think for a long time, the women felt like, we just give us a chance. And it might not look pretty the first time, because it doesn't look pretty the first time for anyone, but we will get there. And so I just feel like, obviously there was this very big generational and just shift in women surfing overall. The first year we went to pipe, the Honolulu year, I feel like when it got canceled at Honolulu, we had to move it to pipe. It was like, whoa, okay, we're actually going to do it. I wasn't in the event. I was like, thank God I'm not in the event. I am not ready to go do that. But I do think it was like, okay. And then, did the event. Everyone was fine. Obviously, Chopu, pipe, Fiji, things got put in the calendar. And to see the girls step up the way that they have is so cool. And I really feel like the entire world has been impressed by it. Every fan, every hater, every lover of the sport, like really, it's been like, wow, the chicks are doing it. And for me personally, coming from that generation, or just the time I came from and the events we had then, the girls that were on tour then, to still being here now and having to like dig deep to figure out how to surf pipe or, figure out how to surf Chopu, it's really scary for me, and it's hard and intimidating. And after you do something for a long time too, it's easy to just be like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. Like, I don't know how many more days I can Dawn Patrol pipe. Like, I'm not 17 and just need to prove myself to the world that hard anymore. But I think there's something beautiful in just wanting to push myself and just, it's so rewarding to get results at waves like that, because it is a lot of hard work and it is scary, but it's also really cool to see, I've been able to stay relevant and grow with the tour. And I think that's really hard to do. For me, at least, it certainly has been, but it's been a great challenge, and it's just cool to be a part of it. It's like so inspiring being out there with all the girls now. And it's awesome. It's just going to keep going.
I think when you look across like the history of the sport, men and women, and as we said, like every person that qualifies for the CT is like the very best surfer ever to come out of their beach, basically, and like has been told, like has been hyped up on their journey just to get to the CT. And we've seen like the hype machine get people there, and then there's a little bit of stagnation, or the hype was a little bit overcooked compared to just the level at the championship tour. And surfers that have succeeded year over year actually enter the championship tour with quite a lot of humility in that, maybe they were like well celebrated on their path there, but by the time they get there, they go, I've got to work on this part of my surfing. I got to work on that part of my surfing. I am never, ever complete. And I think it kind of speaks to what you were just mentioning in terms of being able to evolve. And I'd imagine too, if you can evolve and round out parts of your approach at a place like Pipeline, it probably gives you confidence that whatever happens over the next few years, you can achieve if you're open to evolving.
Absolutely. I think it's just about being open-minded. And I think one thing for me in recent years has been like, I keep saying this to myself a lot lately. Like, all I can do is all I can do. And all I can do is trying my hardest, and I'm trying my hardest. And if I go out and I try my hardest and that maybe didn't look that good or wasn't that good, at least I know like I'm putting my best foot forward and I'm doing the best that I can. And that's for me is, I don't want to say good enough because I want to win these events and do well in all of these events. But, I think just not putting so much pressure on, like, if you didn't win, pipe or get a good result at pipe or a wave that's been really hard for you, as long as I went to the event and absolutely tried my hardest to learn and do the best that I could do and push myself the most that I could, then that's amazing. And that's all any of us can do. I don't know if that makes quite like sense, but I think that mentality for me has been really helpful. And it takes away like the pressure of what everyone else is doing or like what wave they got, or if I'm feeling good or feeling bad. It's like there's just something to learn from every time you paddle out at these waves, and there's ways to progress every single time, whether you had the best wave of your life with a complete shocker and didn't catch a wave. I think just going into it with this open-mindedness of like, okay, all you can do is all you can do. And I know I'm trying my absolute hardest. And I think that can result also just in, honestly, great results. Like I really believe having that mentality helps you just let it go a little bit and just let it come to you more.
I'm glad you said that. I think from a mental strength standpoint, it makes all the sense in the world. You talked physically, how you're feeling, better than ever. Talent has never been a challenge for you. You've always been hugely talented. In surfing, the other huge piece of it is equipment. And you've been with Channel Island Surfboards for a long, long time now. I think actually you and I exchanged messages early last year. And I'm like, whatever board you're riding, it's like, this is the best you've ever surfed, which is saying quite a lot. Talk to us a little bit about that relationship, with Britt Merrick and Brent Powers and everybody at Channel Islands, how it's evolved for you and what kind of equipment they have you riding in 2025.
Yeah. Shout out CI. I mean, obviously I'm a Santa Barbara girl. And so growing up in Santa Barbara, the home of Channel Islands, Al Merrick Surfboards, like when I was teeny tiny, I was like, I'm going to ride CIs. And I never will forget, I wrote like a little email to the local team manager back in the day. And I was like, hi, I'm Lakey. Like, do you think I could get a board on the flow team or whatever? And he was like, I don't know, like maybe do some contests. And anyways, long story short, I've been with them since then, and they've been incredible to work with. And I've created a really great relationship with Britt. And obviously now Brent Powers as the team manager has just been awesome. I think the support from them as a board brand, particularly in the last 3 years to the entire team, has been incredible. They're at every event, whatever you need. And I think Britt is so open to constructive criticism and feedback. Like he wants to get better and grow and know your honest thoughts. And I think that's what makes a really great shaper, is someone who can like hear those things. If it's not working good, what's working bad. And I just feel super like I can be very honest with him. So this year I rode a Rook 15 for like my entire career. And Britt was like, I'm not shaping you another one of those boards. We need to update you onto something newer. We have so many more better models. But I've been riding this Too Happy Rookie lately. It's kind of a blend between the Too Happy and the Rookie. I know a lot of the team's been on that this year. It's not out yet, but I think maybe it'll come to life and be on shelves for the general consumer soon. It's working really good. As well as a Remix, which was actually Dusty Payne's model back in the day. They've kind of revamped that. So I've been on those two as my normal shortboards this year, and they feel phenomenal. Super stoked on them. And yeah, just stoked to be part of the CI family. I play a little bit of a role within the actual company, which is really cool. And I'm definitely never leaving. And it's an honor to be a part of just a company who's just great people and really want to make the best surfboards for everyone. So it's been really fun.
Well, they're certainly benefiting from having you back on tour this year. They're number 2 on the current Vissla CT Shaper rankings.
Yes.
And I get all sorts of abuse from all the board builders every week about this. And so I know they give a shit. So That's a lot of
Oh
fun.
yeah.
But
Brit is so competitive. Are you kidding? We're winning. We're climbing the ladder this year. The team's looking deadly. We're getting points on the board. We want the day at the
I
surf
think that
ranch or whatever you win. We're going.
yeah. I think the first year we did it, I messaged Britt and I'm like, "Oh, congrats, you guys finished second." He's like, "I'd rather finish last." And I'm like, "Okay, good to
Yeah.
know."
I'll be quiet now. That's so good.
And Brent Powers is like, "Second's pretty good. Don't listen to him." But I'm like, "It's all right."
So good.
We're gonna take one more break, and when we come back, we will finish up with Lakey Peterson. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're back. This is the lineup. I'm Dave Prodan here with Lakey Peterson. Lakey, it's been so nice to talk to you, giving everyone just even further insights beyond what I think we're all getting from your YouTube channel at this point. We've been giving everyone kind of like behind the scenes look at Pipeline and Abu Dhabi. Like, what's been the motivation behind that? Just another project for you to do on the road?
Yes, thanks for bringing it up. Feel free to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. No, I think the YouTube thing, my husband and I started doing vlogs more like almost weekly. Now it's kind of every other week. It's a little bit rough around the edges of when we release the videos, but as much as we possibly can. A couple of years ago, we had the YouTube channel before, but we really started pouring more into it a couple of years ago. And I felt like YouTube's just a great platform. I just saw the success people were having on it, and it's just another way to help grow, honestly, your brand as a surfer for me. And I felt like it was a cool way too to just show people like who I really am and what I do on a day-to-day basis. And that's what I want to know about other people I look up on YouTube, like just what do they do or what's their life like. So we try and be as authentic as possible. It's 100% edited just by my husband Tom, and we just shoot it together, nobody else involved. So it's all just me and him, but it's been really fun. And I think, it's been a great way, just to hopefully share more about how we do what we do in our travels and get people stoked on surfing. And we'll keep making videos as long as people keep watching them. So it's been fun. It's kind of a whole different world. It's a lot of work. It's so much effort. Oh my gosh. But it's growing. So we're stoked.
That's right. Smash that subscribe button. It's worth your time.
Yes. Thank you.
You mentioned we've got 5 events coming up here before the mid-season cut, where you said you're leaving for Portugal tomorrow, Super Tubos, and then we go to Punta Roga, El Salvador, and then we hit the back 3 before the cut, all in Australia. We start at Bells Beach, we go Snapper Rocks, returns to the CT, and then we finish in Margaret River. When you, as sort of an elite level CT athlete, look at the 5 events that are coming up, like, are you thinking all the way ahead to Margaret River? Are you thinking about anything other than Portugal? And if so, given kind of your experience at some of these different venues, which ones are you kind of salivating at and going like, that's where I'm going to make a run?
I mean, I think honestly, all of them, I feel like I could do good at any of the next 5 events. We kind of talked about that. I feel like anyone could do good at any of the events, but I've had success at Portugal over the years. Never won it, but I've done well there consistently. So I'm really looking forward to that the most. I think just because that's the next event up. So obviously, kind of been focusing on that the most. But I think the big one is having Snapper back on the calendar. I think everyone's beyond excited about that for multiple reasons. And last year I went there to do the Challenger event actually, and it was the first time I'd been back in so long. And I was just like, gosh, this is the sickest, obviously wave, but place and just vibe to it. So I'd love to do well there. But the number one event I want to win is Bells Beach out of the entire calendar. So that would definitely be the most special to me for a lot of different reasons. But frick, we're going to give it our best shot at all of them for sure. Why not?
That's right. Because Bells for you is kind of like a secondary home with Tom. Is that right?
Yeah. Tom, my husband, grew up right there at Bells, like literally right behind it in one of those big paddock things back there. So I've spent a lot of time at Bells over the years outside of the event and I just love the area and I love the people, and obviously I love Bells as a wave, and I just feel like I can do really well there. But you kind of see that a lot with people at their home. Not that Bells is my home break, but a place they're spend a lot of time, like don't do good sometimes. And I feel like that's been me in the past. I've never really like broke through at Bells too much. So yeah, hopefully this can be my year to do it. But yeah, it does feel like home, and I have family there and so many friends there, and I just love going back there every chance we can get. So I'm excited to be back this year, and hopefully we can make a good run at it to ring the bell. The trophy is just the sickest trophy ever. We got to get it.
I like it. I actually think these 5 events are almost tailor-made for you, right? We got the beach breaks in Portugal, very similar to where you grew up. We got a warm water right-hand point break in Punta Roca, pseudo home break at Bells Beach, Snapper Rocks, which you're phenomenal at, and then main break Margaret River that matches your power. So I'm feeling good for you over the next few events. I think you've had an incredible start to the season. So you're heading over to Portugal tomorrow, the day after we record. It's still a couple weeks before that event starts. Like, what is your plan for those couple of weeks? Just settling in, reclimatizing yourself? What's the reason you're going over so early?
Yeah, obviously I'm in Brazil now, and I could have gone home for like a week. I was thinking about it, but it's a long way to go back to California and then back to Europe, where from Brazil it's just one like 9-hour flight. It's not too bad. So I just decided we'll go to Portugal early. I love Portugal personally. It's one of my favorite events on the calendar just because the waves are so good out everywhere, I feel like. And Tom, my husband's meeting me there. So kind of just going to take a few weeks to, I think, get really fun waves, honestly, and surf a lot, which will be great. And also just hang out with my husband and enjoy Europe for a minute, and just get ready for the next few events. I think we can make it feel, obviously it's not home, and I wish I could go home, but I think it can feel like a bit of a reset time. And I think the waves will be really fun. So he's actually already there. Tom was sending me clips today. It was firing. So I'm excited. Hopefully just get some good surf.
Ready to roll. I'm excited too. So everyone make sure you watch Lakey at the Mayo Rip Curl Pro Portugal presented by Corona Cerro. It starts on March 15th. Before you go, we put a feeler out to the Instagram folks at the Lineup Pod. We got a bunch of questions for you. I've whittled them down to 3. First question is from @Avant Surfwax, who asks, your air at the Brazil wave pool was mental. Are we going to see more airs from you this season?
Oh, thanks. I hope so. I was a big goal going to the wave pool and getting to practice a lot. Obviously, it's a little bit like cheating in a wave pool because you get the section like 1,000 times in a row, so it's a lot easier to do it there. But yeah, I would love to bring that into my competition surfing for sure this year if given the opportunity and the chance. I definitely would love to do a few airs. So we'll see.
Next question is from @Guiga_Surfasaude. I butchered that. How is it to work with the Apramor surf team?
It's been great. Alejandro is like a guru, the guru boss, I call him. And yeah, it's been cool. Obviously, Brisa and Luana are the other 2 girls that kind of work with him. And I think the 3 of us have a really good dynamic of just respecting each other and pushing each other in a super healthy way. And also just wanting the best for each other. So that's felt just really good and healthy. And it's been amazing. The technique that Alejandro has been able to break down for me and things to be able to work on that I've never seen in my surfing or heard someone tell me about my surfing before has been pretty mind-blowing. So I'm really stoked to have, yeah, just a bit of his knowledge and just have some fresh stuff to work on with them. Yeah.
You're talking him up. I already like Leandro, but just the insights and going to the Boa Vista. I'm going to see if the Opramore surf team's taking applications. I'm going to apply.
Come on, Dave. Get on the team.
Hey, you know what? He's like, I don't have enough time to work through your technique. Okay. Third question's from @Blades of Honey. What song gets you ready for a heat?
Oh, that's a good question. This changes. It's not really ever the same playlist. It depends on my mood. Sometimes I need to get fired up, and sometimes I need to mellow out. Usually though, usually I'm listening to rap when I have my headphones on before a heat. that fluctuates between who. Eminem, Lose Yourself is always a good one. That's a classic. And then also I like rock and roll too. Like AC/DC is super good. So I'll throw them on every now and again. But yeah, it depends on my mood.
Do you and Tom like share a Spotify account? I share one with my kids, so like the algorithm gets tweaked, and I'm like ready to, and I'm like, whoa, what are we doing here?
We do. He has all the good playlists, so I just listen to all his playlists. I don't even add anything. Tom's got it all, so he does it, and I just copy on there.
You and I should WhatsApp on this. We should just be adding stuff for Tom's benefit, like expand the palette a little bit.
We should.
Well, thanks to everyone that wrote in at the lineup pod. We're now down to our final segment. This is the lightning round. So these are 10 questions for you to answer as quickly as you can. And as a special bonus, I've got your answers from 5 years ago, so we can cross-check. Okay, first question. If you could only have one board set up for the rest of your life, single fin, twin fin, thruster, quad bonzer, or finless, which would you choose?
Thruster.
That's consistent. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Mm-hmm. Burrito or pizza?
Pizza.
Interesting. Last book you read. If this is the same answer, we're going to have an issue.
I'm currently reading the 5 a.m. Club, and I'm almost done. So I'm going to say that one.
Great answer. Great answer. If it was the same book from 5 years ago, we'd be like, all right, it's just
big issues.
That thing's just living rent free in your bag.
No, I got a Kindle. Okay. I got a Kindle, and I'm reading way more now. It's good.
Smart. Best surf film ever.
Jeez. Sorry. Okay. I think it would be Stranger Than Fiction. I think last time I probably said A View from the Blue Moon, which also is ridiculous. And yeah, but I'll say Stranger Than Fiction.
Interesting.
That sounds fun.
Okay. That is fun. Yeah. I like that. And you're right. You did say A View from a Blue Moon last time. This is an interesting answer from last time. I'm curious. I'm going to have to ask you why and see if it's the same. What is one wave you never have to go back to?
Did I say? I would have said Brazil last time. I would have said Barra de Tijuca.
You did actually.
Probably. I kind of stand by it. I love Brazil. Beautiful waves here. I don't need to surf Barra de Tijuca ever again, though. I'll stay consistent on that one.
Fair enough. I always felt like in Tijuca's defense, it was always way more fun to surf than watch people surf, because it was like, it's like 2 to 3 foot, like punchy little bowl, and then you're like watching the world's best surfers all event being like, I'm good. Okay. If you only get to surf one wave for the rest of your life.
Oh, geez.
And you can dream cast it. Perfect conditions, just your friend, whatever you want.
Okay. It's got to be a left and a right. I have to be able to go left. I can't say lowers because you got to be able to get barreled. So that doesn't work.
It's tough.
Sorry. I might. No, that's so lame. Such a bad answer. I think I would choose. I'm just gonna say J-Bay, but I feel like that's not actually my final answer. But that's just like, I love that wave so much, and you can do everything on it. There's no left, but I'm happy with the right. So I'm just gonna say J-Bay.
Same answer as last time. I think it's Kismet. Yeah. Best person to share a lineup with?
My husband, Tom.
Oh, good work, Tom. You hang in there for 5 years. If it wasn't, if we'd have to ask, like if it wasn't Tom still, I'd be like, what happened? Worst person to share a lineup with?
Yes, this question. I don't know if there's a worse person to share a lineup with. Just anyone who free surfs before the event at 5 a.m. at the contest. Please just give us that one 30-minute moment to just catch a wave to warm up. Please, that would be amazing. You can have your wave right after that, but that person probably.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Last one. Finish this sentence. I will next achieve a state of happiness by.
Having a beautiful dinner with my friend, Brisa, who's here.
Wonderful. Lakey Peterson, thank you so much for coming on the lineup. Congratulations for everything you've achieved. Everyone needs to check out Making Waves, the film. It's available at worldsurfleague.com and on YouTube. And we will next enjoy you at the Mayo Rip Curl Pro Portugal. Love talking to you, whether it's on a podcast or otherwise. Thank you so much, Lakey.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the film and checks it out. It's been a lot of fun.